Someone brought up an interesting point in a comment from a week ago, and as usual, I have like 20 video topics I never get to. Essentially, they're sympathizing with incels due to sociological demands and psychological themes that are normal in society. And usually, sympathizing with incels usually results in people raging at you or immediately thinking you watch a bold guy telling you how to treat women while smoking a cigar with his brother, right? Or maybe watching a Twitch streamer live and enjoy life while you sit at home all day. Many years ago, maybe like 10 years ago, when I first heard the word incel, it literally was just a word. It was a label. It just meant you were somebody who couldn't find any sort of relationship activity, and it was considered out of your control, hence the etymology of incel coming from involuntary celibate. It wasn't like necessarily a bad word, to call someone like it just didn't have it, you know what I'm saying? But during the past few years, the term incel is no longer just a label. It appears to be associated with a culture and ideology rather than a human experience of rejection and loneliness. And in regard to the comment, it does feel like we don't approach people with enough empathy sometimes, but it doesn't excuse propelling ideologies that are dangerous and harmful. So for example, if you're someone who finds their human experience filled with rejection and loneliness, and maybe that makes you sad or negative or angry, it feels like, I think it's completely okay to approach you or deal with you in some sort of compassion or empathetic way. However, if you're experiencing those things and the words that continue to come out of your mouth are, women are like this, men are like this, oppression, like, look, bro, look. I'm not going to argue the semantics of societal and gender norms with you. But it's hard for anyone to give you empathy or compassion when you're sitting there crying about society and not doing anything to resolve the circumstances you were given. You can't make the argument about men have to do this and men have to do this. This is what makes a man, right? But then proceed to do nothing that a man would do. And I'm speaking traditionally and through modern times. Traditionally speaking, a man is supposed to adjust through circumstances and tough moments, which is why men are portrayed or pushed to be, quote, tough, right? Men are supposed to not cry or be too emotional, which again, that's traditional. But you get what I'm saying, where like you're supposed to take care of yourself, or if in the case of family, right? Yet crying on internet forums or fighting people in the comment section over women this, women that, and it comes, look, all that comes off more feminine than anything. Rather, I don't see how crying and fighting people on the internet makes you suddenly more intellectual or a stronger man than others. And even if your arguments are valid, okay, let's say, hey, listen, you're talking about the societal, the gender norms, let's say you're making 100% sense, right? Ask yourself a very rational point, though. Also, I'm only saying this because I know y'all like to believe you're very logical and smart and you have society figured out because you understand all these social gender norms, whatever, right? The question is this: how does crying and complaining and arguing about women this, women that, men oppression this, men don't get that, how does this help your situation? Do you get paid off of this? Or you're just wasting your time crying about life? Like, but that makes you a man though, right? That you got life figured out. You got life figured out so much that you're sitting there crying about it. Make it make sense. And this is what I meant and why I do agree with the point being made in that comment, that unless someone is showing signs of violence or they're blaming society on everything and proceeding to not focus on how to build their own life, unless someone is doing that stuff, I feel like empathy should be given. And I don't think it's fair to demonize or villainize people for their lack of social experience or wisdom to cause them to be lonely or constantly find rejection, and is causing them to suffer silently or indulge into things that are considered weird, right? Like people be having waifus, right? They got the favorite anime girl, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. People be e-dating all over Discord. People be watching adults content online and this and that, like, and they're overindulging into it. Like, look, it's completely okay to feel bad for these people and treat them with care. Again, it's the moment where the way they handle their loneliness and their social quirks and rejection, it becomes violent, or their ideologies become destructive. And you can sit there and argue all day about why your ideology is correct about men and women. But like, this does not put you on a pedestal in society. And when I see people doing stuff like that, I just automatically assume if you're spending time doing this on internet forums or you're fighting with people in comment sections or whatever, I just automatically assume you have nothing literally going on. And this is why you don't see me arguing with people in comment sections. I just be like, bro, like, see, now I'm feeling like I'm on a pedestal because I feel like, bro, you must got nothing going on. Like, I'm not going to sit here argue. Like, I got stuff to do, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? I could list 20 more important things than arguing with you over gender norms, bro. Like seriously. And if you were busy, right? If you were focused on building yourself, if you were really on the grind, if you actually had things to do in your life, your priority would not include doing stuff like this. If you're frustrated about gender norms and feel like you have nowhere to go or turn to, I mean, what part are you playing in that? Yo, I've made videos talking about gender norms. Sometimes my videos may come off like I'm talking like I'm an incel, right? But even when I was going through my loneliest moments, or I felt like nothing was going right for me socially, constant rejection and so forth, like you guys see me throughout the years. I've been through some stuff, right? Yo, stomping my feet and pouting never did anything for me, bro. Bro, I got no money in my bank account. Why am I worried about gender norms? Bro, my knees are hurting from sitting on a computer all day and I'm out of shape. Why am I worried about gender norms? Like there are so many other things related to what you should be focused on or locked into, but your obsession is with gender norms. Like you're kind of putting yourself in a position to why it makes you, why you're even in the situation you're in to begin with, you know what I'm saying? And why it bothers you so much. And then you get mad at people who see you acting this way and don't show any compassion. Or, you know, you be feeling oppressed, right? You be feeling oppressed because nobody seems to care about you or anything like that, or care about what's going on. It's hard for anybody to care about what's going on. Like, remember what I mentioned earlier? Like, I'll see what people are saying in the comments and about this topic, right? And they could just be expressing themselves. Very fair, right? But, yo, I got things to do. Like, I'm not gonna, like, it's hard for me to give you compassion when you sitting there stomping your feet in a comment section about stuff like this, you know? And of course you feel oppressed, right? Because your whole life is about this thing and you're twisting everyone's arm about it. Nobody wants to give you compassion or empathy when you're doing this. It comes off robotic or like you're an extremist. You want people to give you compassion for being robotic and being an extremist or twisting everyone's arm about women and oppression of men. Like, come on, bro. Do you think that makes any sense? Anyway, this is just my opinion on it. I'm not saying issues don't exist, because they do. It's how you're dealing with it. It's how people are dealing with it. The people who are externalizing it in ways that push people away from them, it's, you know, and then there's the people who be dealing with it in other ways, even if it's ways that aren't healthy. Like I mentioned about overindulging in adult content or this and that, you know what I'm saying? It's easier to empathize with people who are in those situations or struggle, you know? Anyway, that's how, you know, I feel about the comment. I think it brought up a good point. I feel like people immediately, when they hear the word incel, they don't want to sympathize. They think they're just crazy and they're violent people. But like, you know, it goes both ways, you know. It just depends on what it is. You know, it depends on how somebody is externalizing it or they're wearing it on their sleeve per se. That makes sense. Anyway, this episode is found on Spotify and YouTube. I'm out.